What's going on, everybody? Brandon Petta here. We got episode 12 of the Higher Purpose podcast. No Chris today. He's doing some in-person training. He couldn't be here. He wanted to, but I am with the biggest guest we've ever had so far, Jordan Syatt. Jordan is a titan in the fitness industry, and I'm going to get into a little bit of an intro about Jordan before he fills in the gaps. But before I do that, I did want to say and just give a shout out, Jordan, to you, man. Like, he is one of my biggest mentors, and honestly, the reason that I recently grew and launched my own online business. I joined his mentorship program, which has been absolutely amazing. It's been unbelievable. And he's pretty much laid out the foundation and showed so many aspiring coaches the ropes as to how to grow and launch our own online businesses, which has been honestly a dream and is amazing because I was never a person that ever thought that he would ever have his own business one day. And that's more so because I never knew anything about business itself and where to start and how to get an LLC. And Jordan just has helped so many of us start our businesses. And so this is I'm really excited to have him on, and it truly is an honor. But Jordan, I'll go into a quick intro and you can fill in the rest, man. But like I said, Jordan, he's a legend in the fitness industry. He was Gary Vee's personal trainer, strength and nutrition coach. He holds several powerlifting world records. He's helped thousands of people, if not way more, transform their lives through his own coaching, through his social media presence, and answering so many questions, including my own. He has almost 1 million followers on Instagram, where he by far has the best Q&As of anyone that I've ever followed. They're entertaining as hell. They're super educational, and I laugh my ass off every single time I watch your Q&As, Jordan. He's an avid Harry Potter fan. He recently got married, and even more recently won his first jiu-jitsu competition. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
You can find him on Instagram at Syatt Fitness. And like I said, Jordan, please fill in the gaps and everything I missed, man. I know you've had a extensive career and everything that's led you here, but please let the listeners know what you think's important and you love to include.
Pretty much it, dude. I'm a short, bald, nerdy dude. That's pretty much it. I like to lift weights. I like jujitsu, and I think you covered it really well, man. Thank you, and I'm stoked to be here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Like I said, the honor's mine. This is absolutely amazing. But I've learned so much from Jordan. Definitely give him a follow. You're going to learn so much. But I told Jordan this before. I know so many listeners, and including myself, I really wanted to ask him honestly and start with what it was like to be Gary Vee's trainer, and kind of the steps and the journey that led you to that point, and the experience that you gained overall from how I think you mentioned it was 3 years or however long that whole journey and experience was, man. Please, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so it was a 3-year deal, and it was for anyone who doesn't know, if you Google search Gary Vaynerchuk, you'll find he's like a massive entrepreneur, like really, really famous, well-known guy, very humble. I like he's like a father to me. So I coached him for 3 years straight. It was 7 days a week for 3 years straight. There were no weekends, no vacations, no breaks. It was 7 days a week for 3 years straight. No ifs, ands, or buts. Had to coach him every single day. And a lot of people are like, oh, so like an hour a day, it's not that bad. It wasn't just an hour a day, right? It was, number one, like we were working out at 5, 6, maybe 7 in the morning. I had to wake up super early, get to his apartment, and coach him usually around 6 a.m. But then he travels all the time, especially pre-COVID, which is what we did. It was June 1st, 2016 and June 1st, 2019. And I spent more time in airplanes and hotels than I did in New York City. And so, I mean, if he was in Hong Kong, I was in Hong Kong. If he was in Germany, I was in Germany. If he was in London, I was in London. If he was in LA, I was in LA. And I was traveling all over the world with him. So usually if we were in New York, I'd coach him. Then I would go straight from coaching him to the airport, fly wherever we were going to fly. I'd get there about 12, 16 hours ahead of him. I'd make sure we had a gym to work out at, whatever. He'd arrive. So for example, like if we went from New York to London, I'd coach him in the morning, 6 a.m. Then I'd get like an 11:15 or 12:15 flight to London. I'd get there by like 7 to 10 p.m. ish. And then make sure there's a workout, a place for us to work out the following morning, because he would get there like late at night. We'd work out the following morning. And it's not like you're doing sightseeing. You go straight from London, then you go to Amsterdam. You go to Amsterdam, do the same thing, go from Amsterdam to LA, same thing. So it was 7 days a week, 3 years straight. It was super intense. I learned a lot. It was an incredible experience. A lot of people are like, they often ask me, what was the number one thing I learned from coaching Gary? And honestly, it's, if you're a personal trainer, you know, like it doesn't matter if you coach financial advisors, if you coach lawyers, it doesn't matter who you coach, like the hour spent coaching them, you're helping them. They're not helping you, right? It's like, it's their hour. They're paying you. So like, we weren't just sitting down during the coaching session and he wasn't like giving me tactics for social media. The biggest thing I learned was I got to see firsthand how fucking hard this dude works. And it's unbelievable. Like I didn't have that, you know, like sometimes seeing is believing. Yeah. I didn't have the conception of how hard someone could possibly work until I saw how hard Gary worked. Mm-hmm. And seeing his schedule from 5 or 6 a.m. booked every single second, no, not a joke, like every single second of the day from about 5 or 6 a.m. until midnight or 1 or 2 a.m. is all booked out, including the workout, including his shower, including the ride from his apartment to his office, where he has a couple of phone calls and meetings in the car, and then like all day. And I was like, holy shit. And so basically by that point in time, I'd already had my business I started my business in 2011, July of 2011. And I got the job coaching him in 2016. So I had already had a business for a number of years, and I worked pretty hard, but nowhere near as hard as I could work. Mm-hmm. So starting working with him and seeing how hard he worked pushed me to be like, I have way more in the tank. So I spent those 3 years just going bananas, working as hard as I possibly could, posting on Instagram 3 times a day, posting on YouTube 1 time a week, doing my podcast, doing all this and coaching him and doing my own online clients and starting the inner circle and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So by the end of those 3 years, I had went from like 5,000 followers on Instagram to 500,000 followers on Instagram. And you know, from 15,000 followers on YouTube to 100,000 followers on YouTube. So like, it really helped me work harder and harder and harder. So that was the number one thing that I learned, is just, if you want to work, you can work, you've got the time. It's a matter of whether or not you're going to do it. And, the other thing that I learned is, and this is, I think, one of the more important things, especially as I've gotten older and I've become more removed from that lifestyle, is it's not what I want at all. Like, I don't want to live that life. And I think that's something that a lot of people look at him or look at someone who's clearly doing very well financially, and they're like, they see the private jets and they see all this stuff and they're like, oh, I want that life. Mm-hmm. But you really don't. Like, yeah. Most people don't want that life. And this is one of the best things I learned from Gary. It's like, we were taking private jets everywhere and we were going all over the world, and people like, oh man, that looks amazing. It was fucking exhausting. Like, yeah. I had no stability in my life. I had very few real friends that I could talk to on a regular basis. Maintaining any semblance of a schedule was more or less impossible. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from a friend and mentor when I was 24, 25, Pat Flynn, he said to me something to the effect of, making more money will solve more problems until you get to a point in which it's going to cause more problems. Mm-hmm. And I very much realized that after a certain point, for me, not for Gary, but for me, working more just to make more money after a certain point was going to do way more harm in my life. Sure. And I think there's a certain point that everyone has, and everyone's different, that after a certain point, it's taking away from what you can do. It's taking away from the quality of your life and what you have. So, and I've spoken with Gary about this. It's one of the best lessons I learned was having those 3 years with him showed me how much harder I could work and what my potential could be. But it also showed me that after a certain point, I don't want to work harder. Like, I want to enjoy life. I want to relax. I want to be able to enjoy my family and friends and go out to eat and not have to wake up at the butt crack of dawn and just grind. Like, I don't want to do that all the time. So it's learning that was very important for my life as well.
There's so much to unpack there, but you had answered some of the so many of the questions I already had out as well. I was gonna ask like what the experience obviously was like overall for you, and then like what ended the reasons that you ended up leaving. But I mean, that makes so much sense as to how the toll it took on you. And I'm a person who loves like routine and stability, and for every day to be like totally different like that, I can only imagine the toll mentally that it could have on you. And it's actually interesting too, because I had Rico on episode 5 of the podcast, and I asked him, I was like, because he said he had worked with you and Gary as well, and I asked him a similar question, like, what was it like working alongside those two? And he had almost the identical answer as to what you said it was like to work with Gary. And he was like, Jordan and Gary, he was like, they're ruthlessly consistent. He said every single day, like they're on top of it, like ruthlessly, like it doesn't, like they're going to get it done. And it seems like you obviously had adopted and learned so much like through those 3 years in that lifestyle, like you'd said, what was possible, what was capable. And it gets me to actually my next question, Jordan, about I've heard you speak about like balance and seasons like of life in the past, and how so many people, it's an ideal situation that everyone wants balance in their life, and they want like to balance out their business and social life and everything. But do you think, I believe that sometimes in life you need to be unbalanced in order to have balance later on. Do you think that those 3 years, as much of a grind as it was, and how much you had learned, like you said, you went from 5,000 followers to 500,000. Do you think, especially like someone like myself at 24 years old, there is a certain point in time where if you do like grind for this, like really hard for like 6 months, like seclude yourself, whatever, like friends, this or that, like social events, or like years into your business, do you think that there is an upswing and a benefit from doing that, not your whole life to the point like you said where you're burnt out and you'll regret it later on, but at least for a certain point in time?
Dude, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it exactly the same way.
Exactly.
And you're 24, I would say, bro, go fucking crazy right now.
Yeah.
Grind until your eyes bleed. Like,
Yeah.
and especially because and I was talking to my buddy with Mike Vicanti about this recently. There's something about, I don't know if you've heard us talk about this, like this young, like almost anger that you wake up with that, like, I don't know about you, but Mike and I had the same experience. And when we woke up when we were younger, like we had this like anger, something to prove to the world that like, I want to get it done. Like I'm going to do it. I'm going to work hard. And that's all we cared about. It was just like, I loved it. And and it's almost like that fire for me has dwindled a little bit. And maybe it's because I've gotten more comfortable. Maybe it's because I have other things in my life. But if I know for a fact that if I could go back to 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, I would do it the exact same way. Because now at 30, I have the freedom to be able to do that stuff. I have the ability to spend a whole day with my wife and not worry if I'm not going to work that day. I have the ability to wake up, go to jujitsu, come back, relax, go get a workout and come back, relax, do a couple podcasts, then go get another workout. And if I want to, like, I have that ability that I wouldn't have had if I didn't spend those years doing that. So it's like the freedom that I have now is predicated on the fact that I spent however many years going ape shit as hard as I possibly could. So I think a lot of people spend their 20s too much focus. Like I've seen a lot of people in their 20s almost too focused on trying to find balance. Like in their 20s, they're like, I want to have a balanced life. I just like work-life balance, which is like, that's fine. If that's what you want, that's great. But in order to like achieve a certain level in business, you can't have balance. You can't, like, at least for a certain level of a certain amount of time, you just cannot. It's sort of like, in order to be truly great at anything, there has to be unbalance in your life. Like there can't be balance. So I think in order to achieve the balance that you'll eventually want, right now is the time to go as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah, I'm totally on the same page and wavelength. And I actually have like a quote written on my office wall. It's a Gary quote. It says, he was a tweet, he tweeted it, but he was like, to be an anomaly, you have to act like one.
Yeah.
Like you don't want, like if you want a successful business, like a fitness business, for example, like there's fucking probably a million people with a who want to have a successful online fitness business. Like, what the hell are you doing differently than all of them? Like, if you're gonna like put half-ass the effort towards your business or yourself and your own fitness nutrition, like I'm just constantly, I feel as if like I'm just at a, like I want to prove to myself that I'm capable and able, but like I kind of, as much as I want to help each other out, like in this industry, and obviously like shoot ideas of each other and help each other out, but like there is so much competition that I need to separate myself somehow, and that is by fucking grinding and working. And like if that means like this year 2 3, like you said, to make it happen so that the latter half is just that much better, like I'm fully prepared to do that.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's just my example, but I know that like you say, like on Instagram, social media, the work life, the harmony of it all, like it is amazing. And I love wellness, and I'm totally for self-care and taking care of the engine so I can do this for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not oblivious to the fact that like I'm 24, I'm single, like I don't have things holding me back, and like I'm gonna put all my energy into making this dream a reality. So
And you won't regret that, man. That is, I think it's the best decision you could make, to be very honest with you. It's for yourself and for your future family, for every aspect of you in the future. This is going to be massively beneficial. I remember one day Mike and we were at Gary's vacation house, and we were just in the basement, and we used to pull all-nighters all the time, like 2 to 3 a week, like every week, sometimes more. And I remember Gary came downstairs at like 3 a.m, and Mike and I were just in the movie room, just grinding on our computers. And Gary walks in, and he just like, I miss these days.
yeah.
Just like, and I remember at that point I was like 26, and I was in my head, I was like, these days are like, this is just who I am. This is like, nothing's changing. Like, and then now I'm at a point where I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it was so worth it at that time, man. I got more done in 3 years than most people get done in 20 years. And I think that's really why I am where I am today. And I'm very grateful for that. I got much fatter over those 3 years. My body fat went up, my strength went down. Like you can see it in my YouTube videos over that. Like I was not nearly as in shape as I am now. Like me now could fucking kill me 5 years, like easily.
Sure.
I'm do jujitsu every day. I strength train every day, I do cardio. Like I sleep 8 to 10 hours. Like my health is my priority right now over anything.
Sure.
But like, man, my work ethic back then for business was unbeatable. Like the only person who could beat it was Gary, and that was it. So yeah, I mean, I think for you right now, like harness that anger, harness that passion, like go all in and don't let anybody stop you. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. It'll be worth it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I appreciate that, Jordan. I appreciate that for real, man. And I do have a quick question though. What about what you said, like to that point in time, especially in the fitness industry, that you said you had gained some weight, you weren't taking care of yourself with Gary. Did a part of you ever feel like, obviously imposter syndrome is so huge, and honestly that was a huge thing for me when I first got into this fitness industry, like battling that on a daily basis. And I'm still like, I'm in a much better place now than when I first started. But do you feel, and even at that point in your career, you had, it's not like it was the beginning, but did you have any like, did you feel almost as if a fraud if you didn't look a certain image while you were giving advice on fitness and nutrition and not living your life like as healthy as you know you could?
Yeah, absolutely. I did. And you know what's funny about it though is, number one, as a fitness professional and someone who's in the fitness industry, we have a very different idea of what lean is.
Yeah.
Compared to the average individual. We see the people who are like lean all year round, obviously on a lot of performance enhancing drugs, sometimes like whatever. And I don't care. Like I have a lot of friends and colleagues who use it. I don't give a shit, but like they're on a lot. and like their entire life is let's stay as lean as possible. And like, that's all they do. And you see their pictures and you're like, God damn, like that person's lean and I'm not like that. So you feel like a fraud because you don't look like that. And whereas what I realized is as I actually got a little bit softer and looked a little bit more normal, and I wasn't lifting world record powerlifting numbers, people liked me more and people related to me more. And people in the fitness industry, I got a lot of comments from coaches in the industry, like, why are you going to take advice from this guy? This guy looks so soft. But what's so funny is the more I was open about it and honest, the more the people who would actually want to be my clients and would become my clients, the more they loved me. They were like, see, your body is realistic. I could get that body. They look at someone who's super lean and shred. They're like, there's no way I'm going to get like that. And they don't trust them as much. Sure. Whereas, and the other funny thing is the more people would talk shit about me, like in the industry, the more the people, like the regular people who would pay me, they loved me even more. Oh, yeah. Because essentially what the person who's talking shit is doing is they're taking me, who like, I wasn't fat or obese, but like I was a little bit chubby for a fitness professional. Sure. They were basically saying like, this guy's so out of shape. And then these people who are way more out of shape than me are like, well, if he's out of shape, then what am I? Yeah. And so it's like the person who's talking shit is actually making themselves look bad and not look welcoming. Whereas I'm just like, listen, I'm not in pinnacle form. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not a physique competitor. I'm not a professional athlete right now, but like, I work like crazy. I spend an insane amount of time on my business. I do as little as I possibly can with fitness, but I do just enough. And if that's what you want to do, then like I can help you. And that actually worked in my favor tremendously because people actually started to trust me. And it's been cool now because now people have been following me for years. People have been following me since that time, or even I have people who've been following me since my powerlifting days who saw me when I was shredded, world record powerlifter. Then they see me gain some weight and I get a little bit soft and out of shape. And then they see me get back in shape now. And they see me, it's like to see the transformation and follow along. It's like, wow, like they feel inspired by it. They like the transparency of it. So one thing that a lot of fitness professionals, they really get stuck on is in this imposter syndrome is they're worried about what other fitness professionals think about them. Yeah. Other fitness professionals aren't paying your fucking bills. Yeah. Like the people who are going to pay your bills are the people who you can actually help and regular everyday people. Sure. That's who matters. Don't worry about what other fitness professionals say. Just like you do you, and the people who actually, the moms, the dads, the husbands, the wives, the daughters, the brothers, the whatever it is, those are the people who you should care about. Like those are the people that actually matter, not like Joe Fuckstick who's doing IFBB shows and all this nonsense and getting in a thong and spray tanning himself and then judging you because you're like, God forbid, 17% body fat. Like, no, like there's nothing wrong with that. So worry about the people who you can actually help, not the people because if someone in the industry is talking shit about you, their business isn't doing well. I promise you that.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's always I can't think of like the, psychological reason, but I mean when someone's trying to pull you down, I mean obviously like they have their own fucking problems and that
100%
feel better. I do want to transition into a little bit about obviously like in the fitness industry, you have found so many different avenues to have like success and for you to do, I guess what I'm trying to say is to help people in different fashions. So for example, like first, when you were first working with Gary, like you were working with other people online, but like a lot of it was predominantly Gary, one person. Then you're doing the online coaching, one-on-one, then group coaching. Then now you have the inner circle, the membership program. You have the mentorship. You've done what am I missing here? Oh, you do speaking things, and now you also just recently have wrote a book with Mike or releasing the book with Mike. How have you found so many opportunities to be able to use like your foundational skills of wanting to like help people with health and fitness, but you found so many like, doors to open in order to like keep constantly pursuing and seeking new avenues, like to do that, to do the thing where you help people in fitness. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking it the right way, but I commend you on finding all that, and I'd love to hear how you've done that.
Yeah. So you articulated it very well and it makes total sense. I think a lot of people look at what I've done and they're like, man, you've done so much, but they don't like, it's been over 10 years. I started in July 2011. It's now January 2022. And when I say July 2011, I mean literally every single day since July 11th, 2011 to today, January 2022. So it might seem like you're just always finding these new avenues. It's like, in order to find these avenues, I've spent years and years and years on one thing, and sometimes failing multiple times with multiple different, like I wrote on my story the other day that my first product that I ever launched, I lost money. Like I didn't get a single sale. I spent $1,500 getting buying computer software to record it and paying someone to make graphics for it. And not one person bought that product. Not a single person, not one, literally not. And I spent more than half a year developing this product and not a single person. And I thought it was a phenomenal product. Now, if I launched that over again, it would dominate. But like, I didn't have the understanding, or I didn't have the audience back then. But either way, so for when I first started, I was just doing one-on-one coaching. I just did one-on-one coaching from 2011 to 2015. That's all I did. For those years, like from 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, just one-on-one. That was all I did. I started to incorporate a little bit of group coaching in that, like in the beginning of 2015. I did a couple of group coaching things, which did well, but it was still like 98% primarily one-on-one. In December of 2015, I started the Inner Circle, but I didn't go crazy with it. I still was more stuck on one-on-one. So even though I launched the Inner Circle, I got 80 people in on the first launch, and then like it dropped down to 40 over the next 2 months, and 40 was the lowest point it got. And then from there, it started to build slowly. But even from that point, my main focus was one-on-one coaching until July of 2017. So from 2011 to 2017, my main one focus was one-on-one. And in July 2017, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to make this switch. So I told my assistant, I was like, stop letting me take on one-on-one coaching clients. Like I cannot do it anymore. I need to focus on the Inner Circle. So I stopped taking one-on-one. I had all the one-on-ones that I had, and I slowly dwindle. And I focused solely on the Inner Circle. And the main focus, aside from the paying clients, was just content, content, Instagram, YouTube, podcast, Twitter, Facebook, all this stuff, just content. Because Gary used to have a saying, I haven't heard him say it in years, but it really stuck with me. It was, attention is the asset. And this is a very important thing for people to understand. And it's why I didn't sell anything on my first product. And it's why I know some of the most amazing coaches in the world don't have very good businesses, because they don't have attention. They don't have eyes on them. And why, on the other hand, why you could have someone who's a shitty coach be crushing it because they have a lot of eyes on them. So getting attention is really the number one thing to do, is just spend your time making content to reach more people, rather than thinking about more avenues for income. I would think more about, how do you get more eyes on you? That's the number one thing you can do, because once you have the attention, then you can go any avenue you want. And so once I started to get more attention, then I could do one-on-one, and I could do Inner Circle, and I could do group, and I could do mentorship, and I could get the book deal. But the book deal only happened because of the eyeballs that I had on me.
Exactly.
Like book deals don't happen unless you have attention on you. And even then, it's a lot of I went through a whole interesting thing with the book publisher, where I realized that early on in the social media days, the book publisher companies, they were just taking anybody who had a big audience, and they were giving these people amazing book deals, lots of money, but they didn't realize that people were able to buy followers. So people were buying followers, getting millions of followers, and they were getting these book deals for millions of dollars, and then they weren't selling any books because it was fake followers. So then now the book publishers are like, we don't care how many followers you have. We care about how much engagement you have. So then we had to go through this whole like proof of concept phase with the publisher, where they had to check my engagement, make sure I wasn't lying about it. And they were like, okay, this makes sense now. So it has to be real attention, real eyeballs on you, real engagement. And when you have that, then you can go any avenue you want, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's affiliate sales, whatever it is. Like, and I'm not a huge affiliate sale person, but the cool part is you get to decide. Once you have the attention, it's your choice. And then once you have, it's all in your power. And that's why I think, I was just talking to a friend of mine. She's trying to build her business, and she's thinking about, maybe I should take on coaches and do this whole thing. And I was like, listen, the number one thing you should do is just build your audience. Content is king. attention is king. When you have that, you get to decide whatever avenue you want. Anything opens up to you because you have the attention. So I think that the primary thing for you, and really for anyone who wants to build their business, is to just focus on building your audience and establishing trust with them.
Sure. And which avenue so far though, personally, like has either fulfilled you the most or maybe like surprised you that you've enjoyed like more so than another one, or do you have any that you're still different areas like you're still potentially like would pursue?
Yeah. So, it's been at different points in my career, it's been different types of content. So from 2011 to 2015, it was mainly website articles, just like writing articles on my website, which I still think is an amazing place for people to begin, just starting with long form website articles. Because when I started my business, Instagram didn't exist, and I was just writing articles on my website and then posting some stuff on Facebook, and then random fitness websites. This one called Fitocracy, which I don't think exists anymore. A lot on Twitter. Anyway, so that was like for 3 or 4 years, that was my number one. And then I went more towards email marketing, and I got an email list and I started doing a lot there. And then I got the job coaching Gary, and Gary challenged me to post 3 times a day on Instagram. So I did that for a couple of years. And then from Instagram, I went to YouTube, because basically what I found on Instagram was this. I found it so interesting that the people who got the best engagement on Instagram were YouTubers who had great engagement. I realized that someone who built an audience on Instagram, they didn't necessarily have good engagement. But you take a YouTuber who has great engagement, they could post a picture of a rusty nail and they would have insane engagement.
Sure.
And it was like, what the fuck is going on? How come these YouTubers have the most insane engagement? They could have way fewer followers than someone, but have way better engagement. And I realized when you do YouTube and they see your face and they see you and they hear you and they are with you, they develop a very close relationship with you. And so then I was like, you know what, I'm going to go hard on YouTube. And so I started going hard on YouTube for about 2 years with Rico, built my audience tremendously, and my engagement went way up. And it was like, well, that makes sense, because now people are really connecting with me. And then I got tired of YouTube, and I was like, it's so much effort, bro. YouTube is the hardest one by far. And then I went more on podcasts, and that's where I am right now. Podcast to me is the most fun. It's very long form. I get to really connect, like this conversation right now. This is my most fun. Like we might never have met in real life. Sure. But we have an amazing conversation that people can really benefit from. And it's funny because my podcast, it has the least engagement of basically all my social media, but it has the highest conversion to my business. I believe of that. Everything else, of YouTube, of Instagram, of Facebook, of everything. It has the highest conversion because on Instagram, I was talking to a representative from Facebook 2 or 3 days ago, and she told me, she was like, the average watch time, you're going to shit when you hear this. The average watch time for a video on Facebook is 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
3 seconds before people leave. That's the average watch time, which I was like, holy shit. Whereas for my podcast, the vast majority of people listen from start to finish. And that's a 45, 60 plus minute podcast. I was like, it makes total sense now that I could get 1 million views on something on Facebook. But if the average watch time is 3 seconds, we'll say, I don't know, 60 seconds, it's still nowhere near 60 minutes. So it makes way more sense. People are more invested. The people who are willing to listen to that to a full podcast are way more invested in you and more likely to trust you to have you for their coach and to invest in you. So for me, podcast right now is the most fun.
Yeah, no, I totally, I just haven't done much on the YouTube front yet. Although like, I know Chris here, he's been starting to like do some vlogging and stuff. And I think that's funny. I wouldn't know where the hell like to start with vlogging if people just are fucking recording like their cereal bowl every single morning. But I mean, I
wouldn't start with vlogs. I think vlogs are a bad place to begin, and unless you're just a crazy motherfucker.
Sure.
Like the only people who could really start with vlogs are people who are either ridiculously hot, like they're just super fucking hot, which is the same thing on Instagram. There are some people who are it doesn't matter how intelligent they are. If they're super hot, they get a lot of engagement. And then so if you're really hot, or if you're just crazy, you just do crazy shit, and people they want to watch it. They're like, I can't believe they're doing that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and for whatever it's worth, I don't think that's a good business model. I don't think it's a good business model to make content based on either how hot you are or based on how crazy you are. If you want to be a respected fitness professional, your content should be based on education. And so and I remember because when Rico first came on with me, he wanted to do vlogs. And I was like, we're not doing vlogs because what the fuck? I don't want to vlog crazy shit. Like I don't have a crazy life. I was like, I want to educate. And so, and he was a little bit, because all the people he followed did vlogs like Max Tuning, Christian Guzman, who are all amazing. Yeah. And so he had that idea. And I was like, we're going to start with education. And once we did education and built an audience of people who trusted me and liked me, then we could go to vlogs once we had already people who followed us. But there was no reason to do vlogs when, like, who's going to fucking all of a sudden click to watch me eat cereal, or whatever, like to go to the grocery store. It doesn't matter until they care about you. And that starts with education.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you and Mike have said that. It's like, why, until you show you care about them, why would they care about you? If you just start putting bullshit out there, it's like sick. What's this fucking asshole doing? No one cares. But yeah, that's definitely a great point. So
everybody's fucking like, hey guys, like, all right, like what's going on? So today we're gonna do this. So shut the fuck up. Like no one cares. There's a million of those on YouTube, but how many people are like, hey, today I'm going to show you how to do this. It could be an exercise technique video. It could be something about their nutrition, but an educational piece of content. That's why so many Q&As on my Instagram. Yeah, because it's so easy to educate that I'm answering their questions real time, and I put a wig on and make them laugh. Great, I can be entertaining too.
Yeah, I have literally over 50 screenshots of your fucking Q&A, but literally all, like, I mean, I don't usually like screenshot the funny ones. Like I just laugh at those, but like legitimate educational ones, like I'll go back to and say like, oh, like this is because it's truly amazing. Like how much free, amazing content like you're putting out there that like that's anyone can have access to right there. And it just like, it truly is. It's awesome, man. But so, and when it does come, obviously all these platforms and social media and you having so much engagement and stuff, what is it like for your fucking phone to be constantly buzzing, man? Like, how have you been? Like, I remember in one of the mentorship module videos, I think you had said to Mike or something like, yeah, I don't really have like a great like system for like getting away from this. It's kind of on me all the time. Like I'm kind of obsessed with this fucking thing. Have you found like a system or like a way to kind of just like get away from it a little bit? Or do you just like have that thing on you, still like answer like as many people as you can all the time, or what's that been like for you when your phone is fucking always
I used to, and man, I used to be on it all the time. My screen time was crazy.
What did you get up
to? It was easily 16, 17, 18 hours a day. Yeah, easy. Because I was posting 3 times a day, and that doesn't include the amount of time it takes to think of the content, create the content, edit the content, write the content, post the content. And then every single time I spent the first 30 minutes responding to every single question or comment, and I would answer DMs and all of that. Now, I don't have notifications on my phone, so I'm not getting notified because that would be a shit show. That would be awful. It's a blessing to have that much engagement, but that would be like all like every second. My wife will see my DMs. She'll be like, "Dear," my wife will send me a DM. It happened this morning. She was like, "Did you see the DM I sent you?" And I was like, "No." Like, I was like, "Just text it to me." And so then I had to go in and I had to find it. But like, it's impossible. So right now I have a much better relationship with it. I don't have set times when I sit down and do it, but like even then, like even though I have a much better relationship with it, I'm on my phone way more than most people, like way more. But and it's funny, like I do all my video editing on my phone now. I do like everything on my phone. Even the videos that I do like on my Instagram recently, I film it all on my phone. It's super easy. I use this app called InShot, which is just like, it works super well. But it's different now than it was a couple of years ago. I have a much better relationship with it, and I'll go through the comments. I don't answer every single one, not even close. I look for comments at this point that are well thought out and well written, and I'll reply to those and I'll pin those. Sure. But I used to reply to every single comment. Even
Yeah.
if it was 200 comments, I was having 200 replies.
No shit.
Now, like if I get 200 comments, maybe I'll reply to 4 of them.
Sure.
It's just because I'm not willing to do that anymore. Like
Yeah, and
I just don't.
you don't fucking have to. And honestly,
Yeah,
more likely than not, you've answered that question probably a million times in the
exactly.
past. So it's like if you really want to know, like just go to my fucking YouTube or my website, or it's gonna
Exactly.
be answered somewhere. So
Exactly.
I can definitely understand that and believe that. But all right, Jordan, I want to transition a little bit into like some overall like health and fitness things, like for people that have some takeaways here. You have obviously worked and helped over like thousands of people becoming just healthier individuals, like trying to lose fat. And I know they're not one and the same, but there's obviously like overlapping things between those. What would you say is like the biggest obstacles that you have seen like impeding people from like just becoming a healthier, more fit version of themselves? I'm sure you've seen like every excuse or everything in the book. And what's like your most common response or approach to help it, like just helping steer them in the right direction and coming out on top of that?
Yeah, so it's a great question. There are many potential ways to go with this, but on a more broad level, I think the biggest issue people have is a lack of belief in their ability to succeed, right? And the fancy term for this is called self-efficacy. People don't believe in their ability to succeed, and there are many reasons why. Maybe it's because they don't think they have the time. Maybe it's because they don't think they have the money. Maybe it's because they don't think they have the motivation. Who knows? There are many reasons why someone might not believe that they can succeed.
Sure.
I think one of the most common ones, and this sort of bleeds in everything, it's they think money for it, or they think they don't have the motivation for it, is they don't think that they don't realize how little they have to do in order to actually see results. And this is why I've been beating the drum so hard on walking recently, because I don't care how much money you've got. Like you can walk. I don't care how much space you got. Like you can walk in circles in your fucking 500 square foot apartment like I do. Like it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much motivation you have. Like you can stand up and fucking walk. Like you can, if you have a phone call, get up and walk. So this is why I've been beating that drum so hard, not just because of that, but also because it actually makes a huge difference. Like on a cellular level, it makes a huge difference in your body physiologically. From a motivational level, when you go on a 20-minute walk, you feel better. You're more motivated. Your nutrition is going to be better. You're going to be more likely to do other forms of exercise. So for me, I think the best piece of advice is, especially for someone who's struggling, period, is walk. Just try to get more steps in. And objectively, a new research article just came out. Amazing article. I'm gonna have to make a video on it. But they found the differences in terms of overall all-cause mortality between like 2,000 to 6,000 and 6,000 to 16,000 steps a day are unfucking believable. It's for example, the difference between 2,000 steps a day to 6,000 steps a day. It was we know, for example, smoking is terrible for you. We know that. That's obvious. The difference in all-cause mortality between someone who smokes and doesn't smoke is huge, right? Like a non-smoker versus smoker, like a smoker is way more likely to die from any number of reasons. The difference is even bigger from 2,000 to 6,000 steps a day than it is from smoking or not smoking.
No shit. From 2,000 to 6,000, not 16,000, 6,000.
2,000. So it's equal. So 2,000 to 6,000, and then 6,000 to 16,000, you see a similar jump.
No,
crazy. Dude, like literally hairs on my arm stand up thinking about it. Like unbelievable. Now, I don't think it's realistic to tell everyone to get 16,000 steps a day.
Sure.
But I do think anyone can go from 2,000 to 6,000. Like, I don't care who you are. You could go 2,000 to 6,000. And if you could get up to 10 to 12,000 on a consistent basis, you are setting yourself up for massive positive health outcomes. I don't think 16,000 is realistic or even necessarily the right move for most people. But if getting to 10 to 12,000 steps a day on a consistent like 80% of the time,
Yeah.
it could save your life. It could give you years and years and years of a better quality life.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just like, I'm beating that drum as hard as I can, man, because people need to hear it. And people, once they start doing it, they're going to notice massive effects on their health.
I'm in 1,000,000% on the same page. And it's so funny because today, literally my Instagram post and my TikTok, they were all dedicated towards, we need to find collectively as a fucking society, reframe what we think about cardio, because everyone is picturing when they have to do cardio, fucking breaking their back on or whatever, like on the treadmill, just killing themselves in a HIIT class. And the problem with that, obviously, we've seen, and you've been speaking about it recently, all the benefits of zone 2, and even just now, like just all the walking benefits. But what's happening is when people think, when they envision cardio as just this thing where they have to kill themselves because they're trying to burn X amount of calories, how much more frequently are you not going to hit cardio because you're not in the mood after a long day of work to fucking kill yourself on the treadmill.
Correct.
But if you reframe it to, I'm going to just light jog on the treadmill, I'm going to go on the bike or elliptical, whatever, watch your favorite program show while at the same time, you're at least like reframing to like, because you're going to just feel fucking better afterwards. You're not going on the walk to burn X amount of calories. You're doing it because you're going to just feel so much better, more energy, clearer thoughts. And it's really just, I'm just finding this obsession with calories burned, and it's just fucking up. I just think it's really messing people up and messing with their heads. And as soon as you transform it into doing this to just feel better overall and set the tone for your day, and it's just going to be like, it could just be a huge like movement or transition with obviously like this obesity and overweight problem, and like in the United States, like I'm so glad you brought up that point of walking, because I literally had the thing with cardio today, that people think if they can't do like everything, if they can't go all in, then they might as well do nothing. And anything is always better than nothing, always.
100%.
So yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up, man. And another thing, so I was supposed to have Paul Carter actually on a couple weeks ago. It didn't end up happening, but I was like, super.
Why not?
I don't know, man. On Instagram, his Instagram got taken down again. I think like the third fucking time. And I couldn't reach out to him there. And then I reached out email, and it kind of just like fell through, I guess, but it's all good.
I'm going to text him when we're off and make sure he reaches out to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. But
yeah, I told him he needs to start a podcast. I don't think he has. Like,
I can't believe he doesn't have one, man. And then
pissing me off, man. He needs to start a fucking podcast. I'm going to text him when we're off and make sure he reaches out to you.
I really appreciate that. I've learned so much from his content. But what I was saying is I listened to both episodes of the podcast that you did with him, and the one about cheat meals and free meals that he does, like his approach is just so opposite to yours. And so I wanted to hear first off, like your take on like how he does his, with like the bro diet every single day, and then fucking like 10,000 calories on Friday night with his daughter, or however he does it. But
he recently stopped doing that, and he told me, he was like, man, you'd be proud of me, like I'm not doing that anymore. So I think it worked well for him in that situation, but I think there's only so long you can do something like that before it starts to take a toll on you. So he's actually stopped doing that recently. And we actually spoke about it a little bit on the second podcast, where like he eats more like I do, a little bit more, like not as much. I enjoy myself more than he enjoys himself. Like I have pizza on a regular basis. I go out to dinner with my wife, like way too much, but like we enjoy it. And I'm not trying to stay that lean. Like he's peeled all the time. He's shredded all the time. It's crazy. When he came to visit, I was like, yeah, like, let me know whatever you need. We'll go grocery shopping for you. And like the list of he's dialed. His nutrition is dialed all the time. And so it's one of those things where, even on the first podcast, I was like, man, like, cool, do what works for you. But he told me, he was like, yeah, I actually stopped doing that recently just because it's a lot, man. It's a little bit too much.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. But so that's why I would love if you would kind of, because I've kind of gone that route with clients in the past as well. It's obviously explain like I'm not a huge proponent of the cheat days and cheat meals and how, because then it has this negative connotation and can lead to binging. And I would love if you could kind of just elaborate that just like a little bit as to why you think it just your philosophy and everything with eating and
Yeah.
how you eat.
Basically, the word cheat has a negative connotation with it. It makes you think you're doing something bad, right?
Yeah.
Doing something wrong.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, they have, whether it's a cheat meal or a cheat day,
Mhm.
they'll basically they'll be perfect, whatever that means to them with their nutrition.
Mhm.
And all day or all week, they'll figure out, all right, well, what foods am I going to have on my cheat day? And like, they make a list of foods that they're going to eat. They're so excited to eat these on their cheat meal or their cheat day. And what ends up happening is they make a list of good foods and bad foods. That's what they do. It's like, all right, well, these are the foods I'm allowed to eat on my cheat day, and these are the foods I'm not allowed to eat on my cheat day. So they create this good and bad foods list, which now means like at any time, if they have one of these quote unquote bad foods, like they're doing something wrong. They're cheating. They are making a huge mistake that's going to have a negative impact on their health and their body and all of this stuff, which creates a very negative relationship with food over time. It makes them think that they can't have any of these foods in moderation. They can only have them on the one designated day by which they are quote unquote allowed to cheat.
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm a much bigger fan of being able to say, like, listen, you can enjoy these foods anytime you want. Let's just, in moderation, like the golden mean. Let's just find a little bit of moderation. I'm not a big fan of basically massive restriction followed by unrestricted binging. I don't think that's a really good way to develop a healthy relationship with food. I would rather be able to, you have a slice of pizza or two on your daughter's birthday party. Cool. No big deal. You like get back on track right after that. Then you go to a party a couple days later, you can have a slice of cheesecake. No big deal. Like I'd rather be able to do that all throughout the week consistently than save it for one day. And then it's funny because anyone who does these big cheat days, they're incapacitated once they have a big meal. Like they can't do anything. They feel like shit. They feel terrible. They feel guilty. It's like, why don't you just eat it in moderation? Like have a little bit and not feel bad,
And how much more confident and in control do you feel and like just good about yourself when like you don't have to finish your fucking plate every single time? And it's just like there's so much like relief genuinely like in for people, and just knowing that you do have the control and you don't have to save everything for this one day. I think just like so much like mental like anguish can be relieved by just doing these, like you said, like elimination type cheat meal. My only question is, and that Paul was talking about, and I don't know if he's changed his stance on this, is like refeed days when he was so low on his carbs. I think he literally said in that podcast he was 1,600 calories a day, 250 grams of like protein, which is just like, is there any fucking carbs at all in there? So there were like strategic like refeed days. Does that, like, I don't know if he's changed his stance, but like, does that make sense with like your glycogen levels being low and would that make sense in that stance? Or?
I think refeed days make sense, especially like I'm not a physique guy. Like I'm not like a bodybuilder, physique competitor, bikini stuff. Like I have deliberately annexed myself from that world, ostracized myself from that world. I make fun of them all the time deliberately so that like I don't want any people reaching out to me from that world. So I think in that world, it makes sense to have those types of days for sure. But I also think outside of that world, it makes sense to have them. And I would just, rather than call them refeed days, it's funny, fitness people come up with all these names that like just for marketing, right? Like the whole reason someone came up with the name refeed is so they could sell a product on refeed days. Like that's all it is. It's like, I don't know, we're going to have refeed days. And so it's like, okay, cool. Like you're a day you're going to eat more. Awesome. That's really what the fuck you're talking about. That's really all it is, right? It's like, I would much rather just call it a day where it's like, all right, like I'm going to eat more today. So like higher calorie days, right? So it's like when I have clients who sometimes are like, hey, I'm feeling a little bit tired with my workouts. So I'm like, cool, let's just take this week and we'll just increase your calories this week. Cool, done. That's it. Like sometimes we'll do that. If you need a diet break, we could call it like a diet break day or a diet break week. I think it makes a lot of sense for people. You could say, we're going to bring you up to maintenance. It's another way of saying refeed. We're going to increase your calories. It's another way of saying refeed, right? So there are ways to structure it specifically with certain macronutrient intake, maybe higher carb, lower fat, to get a more preferable result, especially if you're already very, 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 very lean. But again, for the vast majority of people who are not outrageously lean and they're just regular everyday people, if they're been in a calorie deficit for 4 weeks and they're being super consistent and they're just like, hey, I'm getting a little bit in my head. Cool. We'll take the week, bring you up to maintenance, have some fun, relax. And next week we'll hit it hard again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the reason I asked about refeed is because I had heard Paul talk about it and Chris, who I typically do the show with. So I'm in his gym. He owns a gym and he does bodybuilding competitions. And so he was the one who brought up refeed and I didn't even know what that was. And then I was hearing it popular and it just like anything can obviously get confusing in this fucking industry, man. When it doesn't have to be, to be. Like you just, dude, just like if you need a break, let's like increase your calories a little bit or just hit maintenance. Like not a big fucking deal.
Yeah. I get people ask me like, how do I structure my refeed? I'm like, eat more. What the fuck do you want? Like you're way overcomplicating this. Like refeed, eat more. That's it. Increase your calories, go up to maintenance, go up to a surplus. I don't give a fuck. Just eat a little bit more and then get back on track.
Exactly. I 100%. Jordan, I know I don't want to keep you that much longer, man. I do just want to ask real quick, just a couple quick ones. What are some of your main goals, your biggest goals for 2022 now that we're kicked off with the new year?
So one of my main goals is I want to compete in jiu-jitsu at least once a month. So the last couple of years, I started jiu-jitsu a little over 2 years ago and I competed 3 times. And the reason I competed only 3 times is just because I was cutting weight before every competition. And, I don't really want to cut weight and it's like takes a lot out of you. So then I was like, you know what? I just want to get better at competing. I just want to get better at the skill of competing and make it a non-issue where I don't get as nervous. So I just had my first competition a couple of days ago. I got first place, that was another goal of mine in 2022. So I just want to get better at competing. So I got the gold medal out of the way and I just want to compete at least once a month. So by the end of this year, I'll have 12 competitions under my belt as opposed to 3 over 2 years. And that just will make me a better competitor and better at jiu-jitsu. So that's honestly the big one. What else do I got on the board?
Oh, hell yeah. I got mine written down too. I love that.
Yeah, I've got a big whiteboard. Let's see. I've got 150 minutes of low intensity cardio per week up there.
Oh yeah.
So, and then lifting 3 times a week, YouTube video 1 time a month, which I doubt I'm going to hit, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I'm already, I have Instagram posts 4 times a week, which I'm already behind on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's really all I've got, bro.
No, I love it, man. And I've heard so many incredible things about jiu-jitsu and martial arts, man. My own thing is I love long distance cardio. I just did a marathon in August and
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was my first one. And I don't know like if I'll do one in the near future, but I love doing cardio and obviously lifting. I'm lifting like 5 days a week. And like, I'm just nervous about the injuries, man. I've been injury prone my whole fucking life. Like I've sprained each ankle like 7 times each. My family's got like back issues and I just love like lifting and doing long distance cardio so much. I'm very nervous about compromising my ability to do that.
I think, it's smart. Like right now, do what you love. If you love the long distance cardio and you love lifting, like keep doing that. Like there's only so much you can do. You're also grinding on your business. You're doing all this other stuff. Like there's only so much you can do. Right. So go hard on that. And if you ever want to get into it, you can always try it some point down the road. I didn't start jiu-jitsu until I was 28. So you got plenty of time.
Yeah, let's go. I love that, man. All right. Last 2 ones here, man. Real quick to start with the negative. What's the worst advice that you've ever received before?
Oh man, there's a lot. I've received a lot of really shitty advice.
This can be like fitness or life, like anything.
I think some of the worst advice I ever got was basically someone told me that I need to stop giving away so much stuff for free.
Okay.
So like, and I've had a handful of people say this, but they're like, stop giving away so much for free. You're like leaving money on the table. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like not everything is about making more money. Number one, a lot of people, that's the only lens they view life through is money.
Mhm.
And it's a terrible path to go down where every interaction you have is seen through the lens of, are you leaving money on the table? Like, should this person be paying you? Like, I know people who won't do podcasts with people unless they're getting paid for it. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
That's
what are,
not
what,
holy shit.
like, what is, like, and I, I'm very judgmental about that. I think a lot of people like, I don't judge. We all judge people. Everyone, like, it's human nature. It's an evolutionary trait that we've developed to keep ourselves safe. Everyone judges. So I don't like the people, I don't like the people. I don't like when people view every lens through the scope of money, money, money. And I've found that not only that, but the more I give for free, the more money I end up making as well, because people appreciate you more and they trust you more. And so I think from a business perspective, but also from like a peace of mind perspective, it feels good to give. It doesn't mean give away everything. It doesn't mean you shouldn't charge, right? Like, doesn't mean I'm not a communist. Like, I'm a big supporter of capitalism and making money and entrepreneurship. But I think sometimes, I think very basically, when you go into a mall and there's a food court and one of the restaurants is giving a free sample away, you go to that free sample, you taste, you're like, you know what? Like, I'm going to eat that now. I'm going to buy a whole plate of this, right? It's like, that was great General Gao's chicken. Now I'm going to get a whole fucking plate of it, right? It's like, you get Sarku, you get my business because that was really good. So it's same thing with fitness or with business. It's like, you give something away for free, you give people a reason to trust you, then they're gonna hire you after that. So I think the worst advice, or some of the worst advice, is stop giving away stuff for free. Like, I don't care how big you get, how successful you get, keep giving stuff away for free, because that's how people are really going to start to trust you.
Oh yeah, I love that. And I've taken some of that advice and been working with people for free since the beginning here. And I've just learned so much from the process. And obviously I've been so hyped to help them, and just been amazing fucking exchange. And honestly, it's literally the happiness chemicals. You literally get it's selfish in a way. You literally get oxytocin is released when you do something for other people. So it's like,
Correct.
obviously that's not the intent, but like that's gonna happen too. And it's
absolutely.
And then my last question, man, what is the best advice that you've ever received?
Oh man, that's very hard.
I know it's so many options.
I mean, I don't know if this is the best. This is some of the best advice, but trust your gut. You're like, more than trusting anybody else, more than trusting what I have to say, more than trust, like, almost always when you ask yourself, like, what does your gut say? Like, is this the right choice or not? Usually your gut's going to tell you the right answer. I think some of the biggest mistakes I've ever made have come from me, like, in my heart and gut, knowing I shouldn't do it, but I still do because someone influenced me, like, yeah, give this a shot, do it. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'll do it. And I always regret it. When you listen to your gut and you're like, when your gut says this is wrong, listen to your gut. When your gut says this is right, this is the right decision, listen to it. And usually it's often the harder choice to make. It's the more difficult one, but your gut's telling you something for a reason. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the science behind it is, but your gut knows. Like, your gut knows what's morally and ethically right for you, the thing that what you want to stand behind, what's important to you, what you want to be remembered as. So regardless of everyone who's in your ear and telling you to do certain things a certain way, just when in doubt, shut up and listen to what your gut is saying, and you're probably going to make the right choice.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. And yeah, every time you find like those like still kind of just moments with yourself, and all the clutter and all the noise and the chirps and chatter is gone, that's when you have the decision that you know you got to follow, and to follow that intuition. So I love that advice, man. And with that, man, I mean, thank you so much. An hour here, Jordan. I know you're so busy, man, and I truly can't thank you enough. This has been an absolutely incredible experience, and I know everyone's going to love this podcast, man. where I know I said people can find you on Instagram at Syatt Fitness. Where else can people look you up and find your stuff?
If you Google my name, Jordan Syatt, got a podcast, got Instagram, I got it all. So you'll find a lot when you Google my name.
Okay. All right. Hell yeah. All right, Jordan. Thank you so much, man. Everyone, until next time. All right.